Makeshift's April 2022 edition is entitled Counsel Culture. It's about how you can work with collectives to stay ahead of cancel culture. And as usual, anytime we mention facts, figures, reports, and innovations, we'll make sure to link them in the written report. Getting cancelled? So 2021. Concerned you're at risk of getting cancelled? It's time to seek counsel. Innovative brands committed to meaningful transformation, yet aware of the potential for painful and public missteps, are opening up conversations with advocacy groups and activists in order to make space for new voices in product development, campaign strategies, and beyond. So why now? There's a growing gap between brands' promises and inaction. Consumers across the globe believe businesses should speak out on social political issues, but 71% have little faith brands will actually deliver on their value proposition. Besides, those values might look quite different depending on your location. The one constant across continents is social media's role in facilitating cancel culture. These platforms give marginalized individuals a voice and can bring digital past into the present, with serious consequences. Consumers will hold brands to account. 55% of online US consumers will boycott brands found to have unethical business practices. With keyboard warriors looming, brands are keen to show they're making internal progress on Jedi issues. Diversity leadership roles are up, with some brands like McDonald's and Nike tying executives' bonuses to internal diversity targets. Meanwhile, some staff, hello Disney, are leveraging their collective power to expedite progress. Now let's move on to some of the innovations that show counsel culture playing out around the globe. As part of broader digital inclusion initiatives, in February 2022, US-based Motorola introduced a new Cherokee Interface. The brand worked with Cherokee leaders and linguistics experts to digitize 130,000 words, enabling consumers to navigate their mobile devices exclusively using the indigenous language. The company's research and digital vocabulary will be accessible via Motorola's open source website for other professionals to use in technology projects and applications. Now let's look at an innovation that aims to combat harassment in bars. A survey by UK-based whiskey brand Johnnie Walker found that 66% of Brazilian women have been harassed in bars, clubs, restaurants, or nightclubs. In response, it partnered with the charity Women Friendly to train 1,000 nightlife staff in Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Recife in how to make spaces safer for women. The scheme launched in February 2022, with participating venues awarded a woman-friendly seal to indicate their zero-tolerance approach. Now let's look at a brand working with activists on internal climate strategy. Having faced growing pressure to drop certain fossil fuel clients, in November 2021, the global PR firm Edelman announced Edelman Impact, a new initiative that sees the company work with climate activists to reduce its environmental footprint. Immediate actions include launching an assessment of Edelman's client portfolio, establishing science and values-based criteria for client engagement, and creating a task force for internal climate conversations. Moving on to the world of cosmetics. In March 2022, Monroe Bergdorf, the model and ambassador for France-based cosmetics brand L'Oreal, headlined the Festival of Marketing, Transform, where she talked openly about how the brand has used its past errors to build a more inclusive company culture. In 2017, Bergdorf was fired as ambassador for comments made on social media about systemic racism, but was swiftly rehired in 2020 after accusing L'Oreal of hypocrisy for its public support of Black Lives Matter. Our next innovation shows Google partnering with Indigenous people in New Zealand to design its local office. Working in close partnership with cultural advisor Anzac Tasker and local iwi Ngata Watua in November 2021, Google announced its plan to design the company's first official home in Aotearoa, New Zealand. True to Google's reputation, among other impressive tech-enabled features, the space will include a digital ceiling where tableaux portraying the country's land, heritage, and various native cultures will be displayed throughout the day. Let's end with an example from the fashion industry. After a pregnant influencer was killed by a stray bullet during a favela raid in June 2021, the Brazil-based fashion brand Farm launched a promo code in her honor. Naturally, the discount wasn't well received. To rectify its mistakes, Farm hosted 14 discussion groups with its 800 employees, and a week later, it publicly launched an action plan with goals and deadlines for tackling the company's lack of class and racial diversity. As usual, it's time to explore the opportunities that counsel culture presents you as a business. As a brand, you should always strive to be proactive and not reactive. How well do you know your consumer base and the values that matter to them? Can you combine that knowledge with your brand reputation to inform the issues you engage with? Is the internal sign-off process for campaigns and products rigorous and diverse? If not, take steps to improve it and respond quickly. Inaction is a form of action. And gather some in-depth insights. Don't just rely on diverse internal workforce. Bring outsiders in and ensure they're remunerated for their counsel, or tighten up your traditional market research processes. NextLab is a cultural navigator platform comprising 10,000 opinion makers who offer candid feedback on specific issues. Brands like Snapchat are already tapping into them. And lastly, hold yourself to account. Despite being cancelled for a 2017 spot featuring Black mothers, P&G clawed back its reputation by collaborating with community influencers on a series of highly empathetic campaigns and a B2B guide to stamping out internal racism. What legacy will be left by your counsel culture innovation? Before we go, we'd like to leave you with 5 ways that you can embrace counsel culture today. And as we said before, anytime we mention facts, figures, reports, and innovations, we'll make sure to link them in the written report. Firstly, listen to the Achieving Disability Equality podcast on challenging perceptions and explore how to transform the world for those who do and do not have a disability. Next, run your own ideation workshop using our consumer trend canvas. Before you do, make sure you give the right employees and customers a seat at the table and turn cancel into counsel. Thirdly, elevate your next Pride campaign by revisiting the newsletter on brand allyship from our friends over at Business of Purpose for 5 practical tips. And try increasing internal accountability by enrolling in Sello Purpura, a certification program in gender perspective for Latin American advertising agencies. And finally, get even more of our content by signing up to our free trend updates, all purposefully designed for kickstarting purpose-driven innovation, or PDI as we call our methodology. Keen to get even more insights on the trend behind the trend? At TrendWatching, we track trends on various levels, from micro to macro, mega to meta. Counsel culture sits under our Power to the People megatrend, which is all about how consumers are using their collective power to expose social and ecological injustices. If you're curious to learn more about our trend framework, take a look at our premium platform.